Hello and welcome to the last of these live stream Q&A sessions that we are having for the MiraBan UK Film Awards Festival, and we are looking in this particular session at an Italian film. It's a feature-length documentary and it is called 50 Santarcangelo Festival, and it marks 50 years of the very famous Italian arts festival in Santarcangelo, which is a town, I think. And so joining us today, we have Alessandro Rossi, who is one of the co-directors of the film. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Nice to meet you.
Excellent to have you with us. We also have our juror in this category, the documentary category, Thomas Deshays. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Good to see you. And also we have the festival director, Jay Manari. So hello to you.
Hello.
Okay, so first of all, actually I have to say, Alessandro, I had not heard of the festival. So tell people, what is the festival?
Santarcangelo Festival is probably the oldest theatrical festival in Italy, not traditional theater, but we can call it a research theater, off theater, fringe theater festival. And it was founded exactly 50 years ago. Well, now it's 52 years ago. And it has a long story and a long tradition. And we can say that each and every Italian performer coming from the fringe stage passed through Santarcangelo during the years, and we can also say that most of the European scene passed through this festival. So it's a very, very important point of cross point for the theatre in Europe.
Fantastic. Now you have whet our appetite. Shall we take a look at a little trailer?
Yes.
Why not?
Odiatemi pure.
Ho incontrato il Festival di Santarcangelo che ero un ragazzo.
Ma servono ancora gli artisti?
Ma andate a vedere un teatro serio.
Io detesto i festival.
Discutete.
Santarcangelo celebra il proprio cambiamento.
Festival?
L'attore lo genera lo spazio.
Non si trova in natura. Il festival è un festival.
Cercate, litigate fra di voi.
I festival mi danno la sindrome di Stendhal, mi danno la nausea.
Non è che sta nello spazio.
E si può fare anche senza la parola teatro.
Odiatemi.
Just a little taste there for people to see what the idea is. So, Thomas, what would you say?
Oh, first of all, I love this documentary because I am somehow, how can I say, I regret to not have lived the 60s and 70s because it seems that they had this sudden, freedom to do whatever they wanted, and it was created in this moment when it was maybe risky to dare to tell people do whatever you want. And so that documentary is telling that the story of a festival that happened in a very humble place, but it was absolutely known for these artistic activities. But that made me aware that that's the point of documentaries and the point of festival. That made me aware of this place and of this festival. I would have one question to our co-director, if you don't mind. I'd like to know a little bit about Piero Patino, because I love this guy. I know he passed away, and we see him in let's say, the first 15 minutes of the documentary, and he seemed to have so much charm and abilities to talk. I guess he was a lawyer. Is that possible to know a little bit more about him? I think it's important.
Yeah, exactly. Piero Patino was a lawyer and a theater director too. He had a small company, and he was very much involved in politics, and particularly in left-wing politics. And this is another point of Santarcangelo, because Piero Patino was the founder of this festival, the first director, and he could create this festival in Santarcangelo because he met a mayor of that city, and they both were communists, and so they decided that they have to give a place for political theater to happen not inside the theater, because Santarcangelo has no theater, but in the square of the city. So involve all people in political theater, in an idea of having theater for people and inside their daily life. And so he was truly a charming man, and we only met him through archive footage, and we use this beautiful interview of him when he tells the let's say the myth of the creation of the festival. And some other people describe his difficult life as a director, because he put money on this festival, a lot of money, and in order to have money, he sold his the painting that he has in his house. So he was full of debts, and people was running behind him to get money back. So it was a strange guy, let's say, and so far away from our the idea of today of a theater director. We imagine somebody serious, somebody precise, and it was completely different from this image.
Very enigmatic guy, wasn't he? Yes. And what did you think, Jay?
I was thinking about the trailer we just watched, and I'm Italian, so I feel we miss theater and people like Patino so much, because it doesn't exist anymore the way it used to be. And definitely this festival celebrates the story of the Santarcangelo Festival, but also how important performing arts are and the political value that they can add, and that we have completely missed it. We have a depoliticized way of making entertainment, especially in Italy. It looks like it's completely missing it. But definitely I'm thinking about the way this documentary was made, and so much that it brought to even this co-directing experience. How did it work between you and Michele? Because you have so much material to talk about and so much to show. So how did you structure this beautiful documentary?
Well, me and Michele worked together since 20 years. So it was not our first move together. And so we have a long story of how to fight between each other in the editing room. And we know how to handle it.
Throwing knives at each other.
Very Italian.
Actually, normally we put an editor between us and
Okay.
somebody. And then it's true, we had a big archive. We like very much working with footage, and we like to invent a different way of mixing together footage from different ages and to reinvent the footage archive. And this was the fact that we did with this film. And it was important to take into consideration that we were not telling only the story of this festival, but together with the story of the festival, we were showing pieces of theater coming from 50 years of theatrical history in Italy and in Europe. So in a way, we were telling a social story of how the theater changed, and so how the people that go to theater changes. And we can see 2 years completely different from the 70 idea of theater in the squares and of grotesque theater and so on, to the actual idea of theater that is performing arts, something more similar to a museum or a gallery. that is to say, we can say. So it's a social story too, this film.
But very special, actually, the way that things were just done in the streets. I'm thinking of the people dressed in orange, just walking very slowly through the streets, and people gathered round them, and it was really immersive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's true. That was a Polish company coming from Poland, and that comes exactly from idea of deconstructing the time of vision. So you get into slow movement, because doing normal movement, but very slowly. So the idea of your life changes and the entire space of the city changes. That was a kind of free experiment on theater that we were talking about before.
But then some of the, you had a group of older people who were reminiscing and talking about the old days, and they had all their, Parma ham and salami and everything, and they were just, but they thought that was boring, didn't they?
Yeah,
some of them
true,
did.
True. It's true. No, they were sad. They were sad. But one said, yeah, it was boring, and the other one said, no, not boring, but sad, because in a way they were sad. Because it was the same years when there was a theater similar to circus, with a lot of vision of movement, music, and so on. And that's another point, because Santarcangelo, for a non-Italian audience, is a small city close to Rimini. So it's close to the seaside, and it's close to a very, very popular place for summertime. And the festival takes place during summertime. So in a way, it was an invention of moving the tourist from the seaside to the inside of the region, discovering something different. And so Santarcangelo changed itself a lot. Thanks to the festival.
And it was shocking to some people, wasn't it? I certainly noticed there was a lot of nudity, a lot of naked people. I mean, I was like, oh, here's another naked person and another naked person. There's a lot of naked people in it, isn't there?
And French people would be like, so, yeah, they're all naked. And the English people are like, oh my God, they're all naked. It's like the opposite.
That's it.
I love it.
You see, yes, that's it. And also some people were unhappy because some of the participants slept in the streets, didn't they? There was rubbish. There was some people, the local people, some were unhappy.
During the 70s, it was like that. During the late 70s and the beginning of 80s, it became a sort of happening. So people go there, camp there, live in the street for the 15 days of the festival, and it was a place where to go, not only to see it, but just to go and be there, be part of that happening.
Yeah, like the festival, like Glastonbury or Woodstock,
Yeah, like
a
that.
perpetual flash mob, basically.
Yeah.
Fantastic, yeah. And did you find you had a problem deciding what to leave out? You said you had a lot of archive material.
Yeah, we had some problem with some. We knew from the beginning that some of the theatrical company should be skipped out, should be taken out of the screen, so there should be some unhappiness about that. And we researched.
Yes, you don't want to miss any. You can't include everyone.
Yeah,
you have to decide who.
When you are not included, you don't like it. So you say, "Oh, you didn't include me." But it was not easy. It was not easy because we think that we put some small pins of a lot of different company, and it's enough to have a pin of a company just to understand a small period, a small idea of theater. And we mix together a different way of doing theater, so an audience that is not so familiar with theater, with that kind of theater, can understand what was going on. We had in mind to speak to people not familiar to theater.
And actually, probably, Thomas was just talking about you're doing your own documentary at the moment. I was thinking you're probably wondering what was the hardest aspect or the easiest aspect, or sometimes you get surprising things. An interviewee is fantastic, and you expected they would maybe not be great. Sometimes things surprise you in the process.
Yeah, it's all about also the skill, like the jazz, the skill of improvisation. Documentary is pretty much about that. We have to plan certain things, but we have to have the ability to get pretty smooth and be able to adapt ourselves. I have a question. What are you going to do now with the documentary? I mean, are you going to look for a way to broadcast it, to distribute it on the internet? And of course, is it going to be screened during the festival this coming summer?
It has already been, because it comes from not from this year, but from the year before.
The year before, okay.
It was already been screened in the festival last year, and it was very much appreciated. We premiered at Venice Film Festival at Giornate degli Autori.
Oh, great!
And Venice Days, and we had a small distribution in theater, in cinema in Italy. I said small because when we started to distribute it, the pandemic spread out. Cinema closed, no
but
more.
You know what? I did a documentary 3 years ago about a festival that is taking place in my hometown. Giants, which are carried by people. And I was surprised because I had some screenings in theater, in movie theaters. And people contacted me via Facebook and things like that. And they asked, are you doing to do a DVD? And I was like, DVD doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But yet people need
If you want
a physical
Yeah.
thing. Are you doing to do that too?
No, DVD, I don't think so. We went on TV, on Sky in Italy, and we were trying to get on the national broadcast. We were discussing about that. And that's it. And we are keeping on going to festival like this one. We like it very much because it's a way of showing our work and find a place to discuss.
And people can find it by streaming, I suppose, can they?
Yeah, not yet. But in Italy,
During the festival days, yes, we can.
Yeah.
On our platform, yes.
In Italy, it can be found on streaming. That's a problem of copyright also.
That's it. Listen, I'm thinking that brings us more or less towards the end of this Q&A. And yes, as Jay says, you can find all of the finalist films on the MiraBan UK Film Awards website. So do have a look for that, and don't forget to vote for your favourites for the Audience Award. And that brings us to the end of this series of Q&As that we've had all of this week, every evening this week, and leaves us just with the ceremony tomorrow night, the announcement of the winners. So do watch out for that. And if you want tickets, you can still get tickets. There's a few tickets left, so do that if you can. But I would say, Alessandro, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you to you.
Thank you.
Thank
Also,
you, Alessandro. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thomas and Jay, we will head off into the sunset with that. Thank you so much. We will say goodbye, but thank you for a lovely film.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All the best to the festival.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.